Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Jose and welcome to my channel where I share my reactions to all news regarding sports. The ultimate goal of mine is to analyze sports while also sharing my thoughts and opinions with others who share a similar passion for sports. The 2022 NFL season begins on September 8th, and each week we will take a look at every respective division in terms of where it has been and where it currently stands. Not only does this give us an opportunity to reflect on its historical significance, but it also allows us a chance to take a peek at what this season has in store for us. This week we'll take a look at the NFC East, which has developed the reputation for being one of the lesser divisions in the NFL. Not known for being one of the premier destinations in the league as of late, but the NFC East remains one of the most historically significant divisions in the history of the NFL. With a combined 13 Super Bowls between the four franchises, it would be nearly impossible to avoid mentioning these teams when discussing the last century of football. Beginning with the Dallas Cowboys, some would say this is America's team, while others would gladly disagree. Regardless of your stance on this debate, the fact still remains that the Cowboys are among the most discussed franchises in all of sports. Finishing with a record of 12-5, including a 6-0 record when facing their division rivals, Dallas was able to secure their 24th division title. Behind a rejuvenated Dak Prescott, who was 1 year removed from a compound fracture and dislocation in his ankle, the Cowboys quarterback contributed 4,449 passing yards, 37 touchdowns with 10 interceptions, and 30 sacks. With an aging offensive line, this team has now evolved from a run-first offense to a pass-heavy machine. This Cowboys team would rank first in overall offensive yards, second in passing yards, and ninth in rushing, while also being first in points per game with 31.2. Another key part of this offense was running back Ezekiel Elliott, who rushed for over 1,000 yards himself, with 12 total touchdowns. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb has emerged as a valuable piece of the team as well, as he provided 1,102 receiving yards, which Dallas hopes will carry on into the 2022 season due to the loss of Amari Cooper to the Cleveland Browns. Speaking of carrying on into the next season, the reigning Defensive Rookie of the Year Micah Parsons hopes to maintain a lasting impact on the field after acquiring 13 sacks, forcing 3 fumbles, and being one of the most impressive defensive stars in 2021. Although cornerback Trayvon Diggs led the league in interceptions with 11, including 2 trips to the end zone, this Cowboy defense struggled throughout the season, allowing over 21 points per game, which was 7th in the league. This defense ranked 19th in yards allowed as well as 20 in passing yards allowed. Dallas will need to improve on the defensive side of the ball in order to repeat as NFC East champions, a feat that has not been accomplished since Philadelphia in the early 2000s. With their last Super Bowl appearance being in 1996, will America's team finally be able to break through and reach Super Sunday? In terms of Super Bowl droughts, the newly named Washington Commanders have not made an appearance since 1992, where they would defeat the Buffalo Bills to win their 3rd Super Bowl. Having not won a playoff game since 2005, the Commanders look to change their fortune in the coming season. Welcoming quarterback Carson Wentz to the roster, Washington will need to determine who their quarterback going forward is, whether it is Wentz or Taylor Heineke, who led them to a division title in 2020 behind a stellar defense. With a defensive front filled with Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and Jonathan Allen, Washington looks to revert back to their 2020 selves rather than 2021, where they would rank 22nd in yards allowed after being 2nd in 2020. It will be interesting to see if they can apply that same level of pressure on defense, while Wentz adapts to this new offense. Of course, it helps to have one of the best young wide receivers in the game with Terry McLaurin, as he provided over 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns just a season ago. Clearly their best offensive weapon, the Commanders will need to seek assistance elsewhere in order to remain competitive within the division, but also the NFL. Amidst controversy regarding the ownership, those Commanders will look to forge a new path that will include the same level of success the likes of John Riggins, Doug Williams, Joe Theismann, and head coach Joe Gibbs enjoyed in the 80s and the 90s. Although the Eagles and Cowboys are consistently the frontrunners for favorites in the division, in the past Washington has been able to emerge as a surprise team coming out of the NFC East. In the past 2 decades, there has not been a better surprise story than that of the New York Football Giants during their Super Bowl runs in 2007 and 2011. Although the state of the franchise is not what it was during those seasons led by quarterback Eli Manning, they are surely the benchmark as to what they would like to achieve in the future. Since 2012, the Giants have appeared in the postseason just once, where they would fall to the Green Bay Packers in 2016. Since the departure of head coach Tom Coughlin, New York has endured 4 different head coaching stints, with a record of 33 wins and 64 losses. As they enter the 2022 NFL season, they introduced former offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, Brain Daboll, as their latest head coach. Daboll also knows a thing or two about Super Bowls, as he was the wide receiver and tight end coach for 5 of the Patriots' 6 Super Bowl victories. In 2021, the Giants secured a record of 4-13 while ranking 31st in points per game, total yards, and passing yardage, so they hope to implement the Bills' offense that was helped develop by Daboll in recent years, an offense that ranked top 10 in all offensive categories and helped propel the Bills into a perennial playoff team. Although evolving their style of play will surely help, they will also look to their stars in order to maintain that level of production. For quarterback Daniel Jones, he has shown signs of regression throughout the last few seasons, but now coming off an ankle injury, he hopes to wipe the slate clean and start anew. Without a clear threat on offense, the Giants may struggle due to the loss of tight end Evan Ingram to Jacksonville, as well as injuries that were sustained by running back Saquon Barkley and wide receiver Kenny Golladay just a year ago. Over the last few seasons, the New York Giants have stayed at the bottom of the division while watching their rivals continuously make trips to the playoffs. Having not won a single division title since their Super Bowl run in 2011, the Giants look to begin another one of those miraculous runs in the postseason. And as we transition from one franchise attempting to make another run at a championship, we now move on to the number one rushing team in the NFL in 2021, the Philadelphia Eagles. Finishing 9-8, good enough for the final wildcard spot in the NFC playoffs, the Eagles managed to sustain a rushing attack that saw 5 different rushers, all proving their worth on the offense. Miles Sanders provided over 700 yards through 12 games, but none of those with a single touchdown. Meanwhile, his contemporaries in Jordan Howard and Boston Scott combined for 779 yards and 10 touchdowns total. Kenneth Gainwell also contributing 7 trips to the end zone, but with only 291 yards on the ground. However, none of these running backs would be their leading rusher, as that would be their third-year quarterback Jalen Hurts, who ranked 6th in rushing touchdowns last season with 10 overall, and 784 yards on the ground. Although Hurts provided a productive offensive season, he continued to struggle with holding onto the ball as he fumbled 4 times and threw 9 interceptions with only 15 passing touchdowns. With the addition of A.J. Brown, he and Devontae Smith aim to provide an equally impactful aerial attack to pair with their run game. With these Eagles being only 5 years removed from winning Super Bowl 52, Philadelphia's second-year head coach Nick Sirianni hopes to lead his men back to the ultimate Sunday. As Hurts begins to show signs of progression, Philly looks to earn their first division title since 2019, and although they are recognized for being their reputation as underdogs, can these Eagles prove that there is still enough fight left in this dog? Hey, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, share it with other sports fans, and subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the videos I've done in the past, and also be sure to support my weekly podcast, 2 Beans in a Pod, where every Friday my brother Jared and I discuss topics regarding sports, movies, and just pop culture in general. I'll be uploading those episodes on this channel, but you can also find the link to the podcast down below in the description, or simply wherever you find your podcasts. Hey, and don't forget to comment down below who you think will win the NFC East this season. And as always, my name is Jose, and I'll catch you in the next video.